Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of the San Bernardino International Airport Authority. Today is Wednesday, January the 24th, 2024, and Happy New Year to all of you that are here that I haven't seen since last year. Madam Clerk, would you please?
Certainly. Members from the City of Colton.
Frank Navarro.
Thank you. Members from the City of Loma Linda.
Dusty Rigsby.
Thank you. Member from the County of San Bernardino, 3rd District.
Don Rao.
Thank you. Member from the City of Highland.
Penny Lilburn.
Thank you. Member McAllen is in the audience for the record. And members present from the City of San Bernardino.
Helen Tran.
And Fred Shred. Thank you very much. We have a full quorum.
Thank you. I want to have our legal counsel read us into closed session, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are two items for closed session. First item is conference with legal counsel pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, subsection D2, significant exposure to litigation, one case. And the second item is conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code section 54956.8, and the properties related to 255 South Leland Norton Way, Hangar Bay number 3.
Thank you. We'll now recess to closed session and reconvene shortly. All right, thank you. We'll now reconvene our meeting, and I will have our attorney lead us out of closed session.
Mr. Mayor, there was no reportable action taken in closed session.
Thank you very much. We'll call to order the open session, and if I could ask Supervisor Rao to lead us in the pledge, please.
Please stand and join me in salute to our flag. Ready, begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Supervisor. Madam Clerk, do we have any items to be added or deleted on this agenda?
No items to be added or deleted, but I did want to note one typo. The minutes item on consent calendar, it states January 24th, 2024, but we are in fact approving the December 21st, 2023 minutes.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Conflict of interest disclosures. Hearing none and seeing none, we move on to informational items. Mr. Burrows, please.
So we are going to start with, as many of you recall, January is reporting month for all airports across the country. That includes us, and Mr. Gibbs has an operational update for our calendar year 2022. Mark?
Thank you, Mike. As Mike mentioned, each year we report out all of the major aircraft activity that took place in the full calendar year, and provide that context with the rest of the airports in the country that also report their annual statistics this time of year. But if we take a look at our first slide as a broad overview, this is all of the aircraft that either landed or took off from your airport in 2023. Anywhere from a two-seat single-engine Cessna up to a Boeing 747. They're all included in this statistic, and these come directly from our federal contract control tower. They keep a very close number on the amount of activity taking place and categorize it, and then submit it to the FAA each year. So you can see in 2023, aircraft operations at SBD held fairly steady, rose slightly, but very similar patterns from what we've seen the last 2 years. However, when we dig a little bit deeper, you'll see that what's taking place at SBD is a shift from smaller general aviation aircraft to larger aircraft. So this slide shows all of the towers in the United States that report their statistics each year, whether that's an FAA tower or whether that's a contract tower like SBD. So if you look at the one thing that this slide doesn't tell you, that's an interesting fact. As far as federal contract tower goes, San Bernardino is about in the middle. We're 152nd as far as total activity. But when you look at air carrier activity, we're actually the 18th busiest in the country for a federal contract tower. Kind of an interesting stat. And the next slide this starts to show you what that shift in aircraft activity looks like. Even though we've held steady in overall traffic, if you look at this is a slide that shows you air taxis, more typically referred to as corporate aircraft, small jets. And if you look at the period from the COVID period following 2019, our aircraft activity in this category essentially doubled, and we've held steady with that metric since last year. And the next slide is our overall activity in large commercial air carrier type aircraft. For us, this is primarily our cargo aircraft, UPS, Amazon, FedEx, Breeze. They're all included in this metric, and it continues to climb each year. And I point that out specifically on the cargo because in our next slide, you'll find that our cargo activity has actually increased in the number of aircraft operating. However, the weight of those aircraft has tapered off. So we've held steady in the weight of the aircraft landing, even though it's increased by about 14% over the previous year. That's primarily due to the additional aircraft operations over the last full year with Sun Country and Breeze Airways. And the other larger 767 aircraft, Amazon has been working to make their fleet as optimal as possible. And if you look at the cargo activity at SPD compared to the rest of the country, so if you go back a few short years, back to 2017, we're essentially dead last in the country in cargo activity and have grown tremendously since that time. So in 2022, we were ranked 26th in the nation in aircraft activity. And 2023 is a bit of a guess. It's a fairly accurate guess. It's based on 2022's numbers. So that's where we anticipate ending up next year, which is going to be between 24th and 26th. But we won't know that until September of this year. That's when all of the airports around the country submit, or that's when the FAA collates all of their information. The next slide is where we rank. I really like this slide because last year it was just a single point, and this year we have a line. And what makes that even better is the line's going in the right direction. So of the 506 active commercial airports in the United States last year, we ended up as number 306 in the total number of passengers that passed through San Bernardino International Airport. So we had approximately 50,000 passengers pass through your domestic terminal last year, and we're pretty excited about that, and we hope to see this line continue to grow to the north. And our last slide is our international activity. This is ebbed and flowed with the availability of customs officers at SPD, particularly during evening or weekend hours. So that's tailed off a little bit from the last two previous years, but it's still doing okay. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, that concludes my report.
Comments or questions from commission members? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to the agenda.
So we got a quick legislative update. Probably no surprise to any of you. There's a lot of discussions going on in DC right now related to funding various agencies within the federal government, and including the FAA. So late last year, the FAA was reauthorized up through March 8th. The House version of the reauthorization bill, a term extension from an airport industry standpoint, includes a lot of very positive things for airports like ours, particularly with contract tower provisions in there that will help hopefully allow us to upgrade navigational aids and systems as we continue to grow. But at present, FAA is only funded through March 8th, and we continue to monitor that along with all of our other airports across North America very, very closely. But so far so good. FAA is still talking to us and advancing the current year grant project. So all's well on that front, but just wanted to let you all know we're keeping a keen eye, as are our trade associations.
Okay.
And then last but not least, Ms. Pritchett has an update on our annual process of policy procedure updates.
Thank you. Consistent with legislation, the state's California legislative cycle resulted in the need for a few updates to our current SBIAA policies and procedures. Most significant including the California paid sick leave, which I'm sure you're familiar, increased our days from 3 paid days to 5 days or 40 hours. This only impacts our part-time team because our full-time employees accrue at a higher rate than what's regulated by the state. We are working with legal counsel to draft language in reference to the agency's compliance with SB 700, which makes it unlawful for employers to discriminate or penalize against employees and applicants for cannabis use off-site. I do want to note that this does not really comply to SBIAA employees because we are federally regulated for SIDA access. So while our policy will reference it in respect to the law, none of our policies and practices regarding recruitment or employment practices will be changed. Lastly, our risk management team of 1 is working on our new, I want to get this right, workplace violence prevention plan in compliance with SB 553. And this is a living document similar to the IIPP that addresses compliance, investigation, and any hazards related to workplace violence. So that will be drafted and disseminated. With our continued growth, our team grows, and it's important for our policies to stay consistent. So we do update and disseminate regularly with our team. So that is the extent of our report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Comments?
Thank you.
Questions, commissioners?
Mr.
Thank you, Ms.
Kuzno, how's the audit doing?
It's moving slowly. No, so we, in fact, we just got off a phone call with our external auditors. We are going over our GASB 96 with another cute name known as SBIAA, which is really subscription software, and the fact that it now creates an asset and liability. So that particular item has been causing us a little bit of grief this year, as it probably has in a few other agencies. But we are closing the loop on it. We just received our draft state controller's report. We expect to have the audit completed this month or shortly into February and ready for the February meeting to go through it.
Thank you, Mr. Cosno. Mr. Burrows?
That concludes our reports. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 8, commission consent items, items 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Move it.
Moved by Councilmember
Second.
Rigsby. Second by
Second.
Mayor Tran. Madam Clerk, please.
Thank you very much. We have a motion by Member Rigsby and a second by Member Tran. And one last clarification is we're approving the minutes of December 21st, 23. And those items are items 3 through 6. Members, please state your vote for the record. Member Navarro.
Yes.
Member Rigsby.
Yes.
Member Rao.
Yes.
Member Lilburn.
Yes.
Member Tran.
Yes.
And Member Schreidt.
Yes.
Thank you. Those pass unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to item I, commission action items. Item number 7 is to consider and adopt a proposed budget adjustment for fiscal year 23-24. Mr. Cosno, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This action is to consider and approve a budget adjustment of revenues in excess of expenses in the amount of $1,980,750. The requested adjustments are comprised of a increase of revenues of $47,376,750 from fuel sales and related fees on those fuel sales, anticipated IVDA reimbursement to SBIAA of $96,750, and additional permit fees of $50,000. On the use or expense side, we're looking at $45 million to acquire additional aviation fuel for resale, a $291,500 increase in the capital project fund for the north parking lot, access control, which will protect our revenue stream from our other lots that are adjacent to the domestic terminal, and that would also be offset by the IVDA reimbursement discussed previously. We also have a $54,500 increase in HVAC for identified additional services and repairs at the domestic terminal to make it ready for the summer season when the heat becomes. And then a $50,000 increase in professional engineering services for developer oversight and permitting services. That is offset by the new permit fee revenue for essentially a net zero adjustment in the general fund. And that concludes my report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments from commissioners on item number 7? Do we have any public comment?
No public comments.
Thank you much. Moving on to item number 8.
We did vote for that
Oh, yes,
item.
I'm sorry.
A motion.
I need a motion on item 7, please.
I'll move it.
Councilmember
Second.
Charette, and second by Supervisor Rao. Okay, let's go.
Thank you very much. We have a motion by member Charette and a second by member, or Tran, excuse me. Members, please state your votes for the record. Member Navarro,
Yes.
member Rigsby,
Yes.
member Rao,
Yes.
member Lilburn, member Tran,
Yes.
and member Charette.
Yes.
Thank you. That passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 8. This is to approve amendment number 1 to professional services agreement with Hernandez, Kroon and Associates in an amount not to exceed $50,000 for professional engineering services. Mr. Burrows, please.
So commensurate with that budget adjustment you just looked at, this is a corresponding contract amendment. Hernandez Kroon is our on-call engineer and inspection service provider, and they have been monitoring the San Manuel landing project as it pertains to airport offsite improvements since inception. It is nearing completion, so hopefully this is the last time we have to do one of these. But as Mr. Cousineau indicated, the $50,000 amount not to exceed is offset by the surcharges that we then assess to San Manuel, who has been timely paying, as you would expect. And hopefully this buttons us up. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Public comment?
No public comments.
Comments or questions from commissioners?
I'll move the item.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mayor Lilburn and a second by Councilmember Rigsby.
Thank you very much. We have a motion by member Lilburn and a second by member Rigsby. Please state your votes for the record. Member Navarro,
Yes.
member Rigsby,
Yes.
member Rao,
Yes.
member Lilburn,
Yes.
member Tran,
Yes.
and member Charette.
Yes.
Thank you. It passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 9. This is to award a construction contract to Leonida Builders Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $98,000 for North Parking Lot Project. Mr. Jeff Barrow, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The award of the construction contract would authorize Leonida Builders to construct and install underground electrical and new concrete foundations to support the new Ski-Data parking lot system located in the north parking lot. Award of the construction contract to Leonida Builders in the amount not to exceed $98,000 for the north parking lot project and authorize the chief executive officer to execute all related documents. We went out to 3 firms for bids, and Leonida was the most qualified and lowest bidder for $98,000, and staff recommends that the commission approves the above action.
Thank you, Mr. Barrows. Public comment?
No public comments.
Comments or questions from commissioners? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Mayor Tran moves for approval. Second.
I'll second.
Councilmember Charette, seconds.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have a motion by member Tran and a second by member Charette. Please state your votes for the record. Member Navarro,
Yes.
member Rigsby,
Yes.
member Rao,
Yes.
member Lilburn,
Yes.
member Tran,
Yes.
and member Charette.
Yes.
Thank you. That passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 10. This is to approve an agreement with Ski-Data Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $184,286 with a 5% contingency in the amount of $9,214 for a total amount not to exceed $193,500 for the installation of access controls for the north parking lot project. Mark Dennis, please.
Good evening. Due to the agency's growth, it has become necessary to control access to additional parking, specifically the Rialto and Del Rosa entrances to the north parking lot. Ski-Data has been selected for this project to maintain continuity with a common platform and consistent equipment, building on the successful installation of their system in the short-term lots. This item requests approval of an agreement with Ski-Data Incorporated in the total amount of $193,500 for the installation of revenue access control for the north parking lot project. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Public comment?
No public comments.
Comments or questions from commissioners?
This parking lot's for cars and not semis or anything
Correct.
like that.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? If not, Chair will entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Mayor Tran with it? Yes. Mayor Tran moves and Councilman Lilburn seconds. I don't know whether you're a mayor or a councilman.
Thank you. We have a motion by Member Tran and a second by Member Lilburn. Please state your votes for the record. Member Navarro.
Yes.
Member Rigsby.
Yes.
Member Rao.
Yes.
Member Lilburn.
Yes.
Member Tran.
Yes.
And Member Schreibt.
Yes.
Thank you. That passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to item 11, this is consider and discuss the SPD Good Neighbor Program, fourth quarter 2023. Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Mayor. Since 2019, the San Bernardino International Airport has established the Good Neighbor Program in order to effectively deal with any concerns from the community about the airport's ongoing growth.
However, we had an equal number of households filing comments over that 1 year period. Page 22.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Of course.
Can you go back to the 5 top commenters? So Colton's on there twice. Why is that?
It's because there's 2 different
Families?
distinct households.
So the number 1 ranked one with the 15 comments, that's from one household?
That's my understanding of it. We can go back and look at that specific graph, but the one household had 15 comments, and then another household in Colton had 2 comments.
Do you know the location of that household?
Leave that.
It's all confidential.
Only Mark can answer that one.
Only Mark can answer that.
Okay, we are going to, let's see, page 22, please. Okay, and here you see the comment breakout by the type of aircraft, the type of concern, as well as how our neighbors filed their comments. 23 or 60% of the comments were reported to be jet activity. Flying over a home was the most prevalent comment received, and almost 3/4 of the comments were received online. Page 23. Page 23. Here you see that same information in a table format, and also the feedback received from the community, whereas half of the community members said they really didn't want to hear back from the airport in response, but about 1/4 said that they would like to hear back from the airport about their comment, and of course the airport makes every effort to respond to those requests for a response about that specific aircraft operation that comment is related to. And page 25, here we have the heat map, and consistently the majority of comments come from neighbors located within 5 to 10 miles from SBD. We see that time after time. It's pretty typical. And then the final slide. Quarter over quarter, we actually had a decrease in comments, as well as the number of households filing comments, quarter over quarter. However, year over year, as I said, we had an increase in the number of comments, and there was an equal number of households filing comments. And this increase is attributed to ongoing jet aircraft operations and engaged and concerned community members who wanted to learn more information about those operations, and then this ongoing community education that we provide to the community about this program. And we're now in the 4th year of this program, the Good Neighbor Program. It continues to be a great resource for pilots, neighbors, community. And I just want to point out, I just returned from an airports conference in Northern California, and I was on a panel about airport communications, and I was asked about what airports are doing to engage and communicate with their community, and I was specifically able to address this amazing program. Again, now in its 4th year, just what it's, how it's been able to, address the community's concerns and engage with the community and share the information they're looking for to understand how this airport is growing and what it means for them. And I know at least one other airport system in Northern California has modeled their own noise monitoring program based upon the Good Neighbor Program. So again, I just want to point out to you that the industry is looking and listening, and you're definitely a model when it comes to community engagement, specifically to airports and the operations and all the wonderful impacts that you're making here on the community.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you for bringing the SBD to that level on community engagement.
Absolutely.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I'm curious, I didn't see Highland on there for the first time in a long time. So you're either answering their questions and they're happy with it, or he's on vacation.
In his second home in Lucerne Valley.
Maybe they just gave up.
Yeah, but either case, so I'm glad to see that Highland isn't on there.
We were too. Mark and I discussed that also. We were
Yeah,
very
we celebrated a
pleased, too.
couple of months that we weren't on there, so
Yes.
being back on there, I know that there's one person watching and listening, so anyway.
Absolutely.
But it's kind of exciting when you hear the planes, you can go on your computer and see
It
who's
is.
flying in and who's flying out, and
It is.
it's kind of fun to watch.
Gotta love technology, just how it allows us to just have more information. Absolutely.
Again, thank you, Rosemary. Do we have any public comment on this?
No public comments.
All right, thank you, Rosemary.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Moving on the agenda to item number 12. This is a review of status of action plan for the San Bernardino International Airport. Mr. Burrows, please.
Okay, well, Happy New Year. Off to another 6-month outlook here. As you've heard, we have timely filed our operational results with the FAA, and as Mark walked you through there, some good trends continuing. As we look into next month, some of you have seen we are gearing up for the inaugural Phoenix flight. So any of you that are able and interested in attending that, please get a hold of Amber, and we will make sure we got you on the list to get you through that thing called TSA and be a part of that fun day. The other thing that February brings is our emergency exercise that we've reported on previously, and Jonathan and his team are busy at work getting ready for that. This is what we call full scale, so this is it's a bigger production this year, right, John? But we'll have more information on that as we get into next month. But important for us because it is part of remaining in compliance with our FAA Part 139 certification. So again, John, thank you guys. I don't know what the incident is like anybody else, but I look forward to it. So.
That's the idea. It's a secret.
I heard. But anyhow, that concludes our report, and
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Burrows. Madam Clerk, any added or deferred items?
No added or deferred items.
And do we have any open session public comment? Carmen?
And no open session public comments.
There being none, public comment is not closed. Commission and member comment. Hearing none, seeing none. There being no other business to attend to for the International Airport in San Bernardino, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.